let's start out with Dixon. Dixon is a family name, and it happens to be a name that traces back in your family, Rowan. So that's kind of cool. Um, so that's there's probably a secondary meaning attached to it, which I sort of can guess at, but I'm not going to explain. Then we have the issue of the taking up the carriage. And somehow Frank knew about this. And there were only a few people who also knew about this: the Bateses and Jane Fairfax, who lives with the Bateses, and of course, the couple in question who are thinking about doing the carriage. So Jane Fairfax knew about this. And Miss Bates was like, "Oh, I wish I were like Jane and never told anybody of anything." Which kind of goes along with Frank Churchill giving her blunder as a word. I'm not really sure how this game is played. Maybe they just take the letters and toss them, and you have to figure out and unscramble them as to what it is. Though, of course, there are words that have anagrams, like pines and spine use the same letters. Um, so, you have two words that have the same letters, and, you can make a whole bunch of different words from the same set of letters, just by rearranging and scrambling them. Um, anyway, so he gave this word, and anyway, he gave blunder to Jane, and Mr. Knightley picked up on this. He's like, you know, Jane is one of the people who knew about this carriage thing. I didn't know about this, but Jane knew about this, and now Frank knows about this. So the only way that Frank could have known about this is if someone was writing him. And other people who had been corresponding with Frank didn't know about this. And, Jane supposedly hadn't been corresponding with him, but she had been very particular about picking up the mail and making sure that no one else got to it first, which is a good sign that she was intercepting letters to herself and making sure that no one else knew about them. So Jane is probably corresponding with Frank and dropping the gossip, spilling the tea, as it were, to Frank. So he says, "Oh, I got this in a dream." Now, dreams are often a source of prophecy. If you're to read in the Bible in Genesis, you had Pharaoh having this dream of 7 fat sheep and 7 skinny sheep, and the fat cows and skinny cows, and the fat cows were eaten by the skinny cows, and the skinny cows were still skinny, and 7 big ears of grain, and then 7 blighted ears of grain. And, this was a prophetic dream. And Joseph said to Pharaoh, "Hey, you're going to have 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. You'd best stock up." And so Pharaoh stocked up, big land grab, pretty much took everything. But anyway, so dreams are often viewed as prophetic. Nebuchadnezzar had a prophetic dream about a statue with a golden head and silver shoulders and legs of iron and feet of clay and mixed with iron, which was a series of different empires, and he was the head of gold. And then the feet of clay mixed with iron was the Hellenistic empire of of what was Alexander the Great's empire and how it crumbled. Um, anyway, so dreams are often a source of prophecy, but sometimes people can share dreams, and it can be a very weird thing. Um, it can be a very weird thing, and that's the excuse. And at this point in time, people were more willing to accept the spiritual things, but Mr. Knightley is having none of this. He's like, Frank Churchill is a scoundrel. He's playing Emma. He's playing Jane. He may be playing other people, and it's like, yeah, he's not to be trusted. Um, and Emma is not seeing it. She missed out on the whole conversation about the carriage because she was running in to tell her father. So, she missed out on that whole part of it. But she's just not seeing things. And I mean, taking the letters from her and then giving it over to Jane, that is just like this huge flag of saying, this isn't quite right. So, yeah, this is progressing.